You've consumed enough. Now it's time to create. I read this and I saw a couple of videos with this recently. And it was probably timely for me, but more than anything, it's interesting. And the reason why it's interesting is because to consume is to take, and to create is to give. But if all we do is create, then we're starving in the name of philanthropy. We need to have this balance of giving and taking. Every single person does. We need to have this balance of energy in, energy out. The difference is that we have to be intentional about what we're consuming and what we're creating. It's almost like, especially with consumption, it's like it's an attention diet. And I used to call it a mental diet, but it's not. It's an attention diet with consumption. And ultimately what we diet on with our attention is that does fundamentally lead to our mental state. Now, I once had a mentor say to me, he was an accountant. He was head of an accounting firm here in Australia, like a big accounting firm, like national, might even be international, but for national brand here. So simple. And he said, if you want to be wealthy, consume less. If you want to be healthy, consume less. Now, in the beauty of how simple that is, it also doesn't say don't consume, because he knows that's not possible. Some of our best moments in our life is, of course, when we're consuming, maybe with friends, maybe we are sharing in that regard, but it actually is to do with consumption. So it's not about consumption being bad and creation being good. That idea, I think, is faulty and short-sighted. What matters most is what is the consumption and the creation on behalf of. And that's the difference that will make the difference. What is it actually on behalf of? Because the universe acts like a mirror. It acts like a mirror in the way that it gives you back what you already are. And I remember hearing that the first time and I thought it was a bit woo-woo and washy, but it's not. It gives you back what you already are. If you feel like you're not enough, it's going to continue to give you that back. If you feel like you need money, it's going to give you needing money. It's not going to give you the thing that you consciously think you need. It's going to repeat back to you the energetic signature that you're putting out. And this is the fundamental interesting thing about an energetic signature. And what I mean by an energetic signature is like your current mental, emotional, and physical state. Like when you walk into a room, like that's your energy signature. And so you need to, when you look at your future, you need to own your future energetically, and not some sort of weird energies of chakras. Maybe there's something in that, but I'm talking about owning your future energetically before you own it in reality. And when you can get your head around that, the way that you create and where you create from and how you consume fundamentally changes. It is a difference between self-improving and self-understanding. And what's really interesting is that when we self-improve, we may not be self-understanding, but when we self-understand, we will always improve. It's just that we've so commonly attached improving to adding, and we're adding things, whereas really it is unbecoming that leads to self-mastery, not self-adding, right? And the beauty in that is that when we start to share from that place, like this place of vulnerability, of love, of offering rather than telling, that's where the whole creation side of things comes from. A place of authenticity. It's not, you're not trying, you just are. And it sounds a little bit corny, I get it, but I promise you, if you align with that, if you know that feeling, you absolutely understand exactly what I'm saying. So, what's behind your consumption? Is it because you don't feel like you're good enough? Is it feel like you're trying to prove something? And then what's on behalf of your creation? Is it because you don't feel like you're good enough? Or is it because you're trying to prove something? Is it time to move from that sort of self-improvement to self-understanding? So, over the last 10 years, here's story time for you. Over the last 10 years, I have recorded and uploaded over 900 podcasts. I've written countless blogs. I've written for magazines, online and in person, in print, and online and in person, online and in print, and here in Australia and also internationally. And I've published a book, I've delivered a TED talk, like I have put out countless amounts of content. And I went back recently and had a look at maybe 5 years ago, the content that I was doing. And I had a bit of a break over the last probably 3 years, the biggest break that I've had. And it was interesting because when I went back and looked at the content I did about 5 years ago, I was like, this is pretty good. This is like, it's raw, but it's engaging. I can absolutely improve my message. I could probably trim some of the fat off this, but it was pretty good. But what was interesting is at the time, I didn't think that. It was almost like, if you can relate to it, or if you know someone, like looking at old photos of you and you're like, oh man, I was actually pretty fit then. But in my mind, I was skinny or I was fat or I was X, but I look back and I'm like, oh, I'm not looking at the same thing I looked in the mirror at that point in time. That's how I felt about the content. And I took a break and I maybe I needed it. Maybe you did too. But after the pause and the break, on reflection, knowing what, like now looking back, knowing what that content was on behalf of, and it was on behalf of proving something and it was on behalf of improving as well, which is interesting, right? Because who am I proving to? Improving, I'm proving. Compared to now, which is just like share for share's sake, I prefer not to die with the information that I have inside of me, the experience, the education, the insights. I prefer to offer it because I've valued so much, I've experienced so much because of everyone else's input, that it would be selfish of me to do the same, of to simply just perish with words still available inside of me, right? There's an old African proverb which is like, when a man dies, so does a library. So whether that's me or not, maybe it's a pop-up book, I don't know. But to some, maybe to others not. Either way, my message is this. Keep going. You may have already consumed enough. Maybe you haven't. But that's not the point. The point is, start creating. With your hands, with your mind, with your words, with all of them. Create. It's time. You know it's time. So go. If you enjoy this type of work, subscribe for more. If you enjoy reading this type of work or in more smaller mental notes, subscribe to my Substack. But that's me. I'm out. Until later. Peace and pizza. I'll see you soon.